The alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digitalk brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digitalk.
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here, Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digitalk TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
Are you craving for that special meal that will entice your taste buds and leave you with lasting thrilling memories? Look no further. Spice Island Bulenga has got your answer. Natural, fresh and delicious juice, the best meals. Don't miss our daily specials from Monday to Sunday. Pizza Wednesday, Saturday Pizza Bonanza, you buy one and take two. Come dine with us and feel the experience. We are located at Prime Shopping Center in Bulenga, Mitiana Road. For inquiries, call us on 0704111720. Spice Island, we treat your cravings.
The alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
A very good evening, our viewers. We thank you for joining us again. It's yet another edition of the Hotline Show where we'll be discussing quite a number of things. Of course, there's so many things that have been within the news, within the mainstream media, different social media platforms. And well, tonight we are privileged. We will be discussing quite a number of things regarding the Entebbe International Airport. Remember, this is the only international airport that we have in the country. And of course, if there is anything within that that could maybe bring or pose anything negative to the airport, it definitely affects all of us as the citizens of this great country, Uganda. My name is Abdallah Latif, and just to remind you, it is the 23rd day of January 2023. We are left with very, very few days to get into the new year, the new month, February. And of course, there have been quite a number of worries to the point that other people have called the month January to January, but we are coming to the end of that. Well, in the studios, I am privileged. I've been joined by Mr. Otim Kenneth, the Principal Public Affairs Officer at the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority. You're most welcome, Kenneth, to the show.
Thank you, Tiff. Good evening, viewers and listeners. I'm very happy to be here again.
It's a pleasure.
The first time that I was on this TV, it was in an OB van.
Yes.
Now I'm in the studio.
Yes.
So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, and also thank you for creating time out of your busy schedules to be part of this discussion tonight. Of course, we know there are quite a number of things happening, and we could not anticipate, we could not think on what could be happening. We had to spot the rightful person to come and respond to the public queries. And of course, recently we've had quite a number of stories which are not so good for our country. You know, we all aspire to have a very, very better country for us. You know, as Ugandans, even when you fly out of the country, you should be proud. You should be proud of your motherland. So when you hear such stories coming through, of course, it's not good news to all of us. Just recently, I have quite a number of stories that I need to share with you here. You could be maybe aware of some or not, I don't know. Okay. the issues about extortions. Of recent, this has been so much in the news. Different platforms, different news sources. They've been talking about the extortions at the Entebbe International Airport. And for instance, on 9th October 2022, there was an attempted extortion and human trafficking. This person the complainant was Mr. Wanyuza Flora, a Rwandese citizen. The passport number is there. And the staff, the suspect was Namanya Barbara. According to the information I have here, the UCAA was found, intervened, and that person was, I think, dismissed. Then there are quite a number. I may not go through all of them, but maybe I can just read them briefly. There is a case against Biaruhanga Allen and 22 others, aided by a Kaundo van. There was Jagenda Kenneth, Mubiru, Moses, Miti, Dennis. All those ones were extortion of $100. Then there was Nanziri Fahita. That was extortion of $50 for a visa. Then there was there was Nuwaga Barecho, extortion of 600,000 from Miss Nyakwero Kelvin. There was Nakamia Rita. Quite a number of cases. Just last week, I learned that you took some measures there to put things right. And we've invited you here basically to take us through how have you been able to handle these cases, and for how long have you been receiving such cases?
Oh. Thank you, moderator. Once again, I want to introduce myself to the viewers and listeners. Kenneth Otim is my name, and I work as a Principal Public Affairs Officer. I am in the Department of Public Affairs, but I sit at the airport. So the reason why I'm at the airport is to be closer to our traveling public. The cases you have talked about, as you are aware, social media everywhere has been talking about cases of extortion at Entebbe International Airport. Some have been genuine, some have just been forged or malice to taint our image. But those that have been genuine, I want to say that we thank the public for giving us that constructive feedback. And we shall use that feedback to improve the business processes at Entebbe International Airport. In 2020 to date, we have received a total of around 26 cases.
Only 26?
Yeah, 26 cases.
From
2020.
Okay.
To date, January 2023. We have received a total of 26 cases. And these cases, as they have been reported, we have investigated them to their conclusions. Some we have found it was true, others there was no evidence. So those that we have found to be true, we have disciplined the staff, we have suspended them, others have left the airport. We remove our pass from them, and then we get relieved of them from the airport. So in doing so, we at the airport, we do not condone such acts, because I believe the majority of our staff at the airport are good people. But just a few individuals,
they tarnish the entire image,
who maybe carry out such activities behind our backs and we don't know, tarnish the image of the airport. So we, as Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, I should say we are the landlord, and the other entities that participate at Entebbe International Airport, I would say maybe the customs, immigration, the security agencies, the ground handlers, enhanced DAS, the Ministry of Gender, Labor, the Ministry of Health through our Port Health Clinic, all these and many other persons at the airport. So when we talk about the airport, we have got the civil aviation staff, and the staff of other agencies. So what we are trying to do now is to streamline a business process that all of us can fit and work and serve the traveling public. You remember that all these entities that work at the airport have got service level agreements.
To offer services
yes.
there.
So we, as the airport, we came up with what we call the Customer Services Charter.
Okay.
Now that charter looks at what are the service level agreements of custom, of immigration, of the ground handlers, of the airlines, of the ministries, and we put it together in a document that brings us together as a team. One airport, one team.
Yeah.
So what we have agreed in that service charter is to improve services, and we have put timelines. Things should be done in timelines. For example, when somebody complains, how often do we work on that complaint? When somebody asks for is inquiring, how
soon are you able to provide the feedback?
Yes. When somebody wants us to investigate, how soon do we investigate and provide feedback? So we have to look at that charter as a binding agreement for all of us, so that we have a seamless process at Entebbe International Airport.
Well, Kenneth, I understand you have cameras all over.
Yes.
And from 2020 to 2023, Jan, you know, as we are coming to the end of the month, I want to believe that the people who man these cameras, they're always on the watch of what could be taking place.
Yes.
Should we say that those few elements, you know, who might have fallen off the standards of, you know, doing business there, could there be some sort of connivance with those who man the cameras? Or you've not gone into an investigation to that? But because there could be really some sort of connivance, because if you're doing something and I am here on the camera, you must be watching whatever is taking place.
You realize the airport is quite big. It's not like a house.
With quite a big number of staff.
Yes, it's quite big. And it's not like a house where you have a front camera, a back end camera. We have got cameras all over the airport. Let's say the air side, cameras along our runway, our taxiways, the air side within the terminal, and cameras at the land side. And I want to say that the staff we have employed in our CCTV room, they are professional and ethical, and they really understand their work, that the cameras are surveying 24 hours. However, most of these cases that I'm talking about may not necessarily could have happened at the airport. Some cases, when we investigated, they have happened in Kampala before even the traveler comes to the airport.
Okay.
Other cases have happened in Entebbe before even the travelers come to the airport. But there are those cases, of course, yes, when people come to the airport and maybe they try to go to an area where they see there's little coverage of our cameras, that is on the land side, and normally at night, maybe they're in the parking areas, then they come when they have already decided on what to do to the departure tent.
Okay.
So you will not see the physical exchange or asking of money, but it happened somewhere outside the terminal building or outside the airport.
But there's some videos that have been circulating and you could see the exchange taking place. For instance, there is a video, I don't know whether I have it here, and the lady was like, how much? I need a receipt for what I have paid for. And then one staff was trying to explain, no, we don't issue receipts. Like, how come you keep the receipts in the system? And you know, this were happening at the
yes.
You must have come across it.
Yes. What I want to say is that if you come to the airport and you pay for something, you have to get a receipt. Because in that video, the passenger was requested to pay for extra kilograms of her luggage. And indeed she paid, And she was right to ask for a receipt.
Which was not there at the time.
Which the person was saying, give me your email, I'll send it. No. Since you have received money, receipt it that you have received it, and then you give the receipt to the person who has given you them. Because sometimes we are spending money that is not ours, and the person who has given us
wants
that
to
money
prove
that indeed you spent that money. So it is a must that we should do at the airport. If I am paying for something at the airport, then it has to be receipted.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that is really, really good. And for our viewers, the whole discussion is about what's happening at Entebbe International Airport. And of course, as passengers, there is quite a number of things you need to know. When you're traveling, how do you prepare yourself? What do you need to carry with you? You know, how do you go through the process when you get at the airport? Especially for the first-time travelers, I think you need to be very, very much keen. And sometimes maybe try to go through the website for the, aviation and maybe the airlines. Sometimes they issue those guidelines. And for our viewers, I think it is very, very key that before you even, set off for the airport, you need to acquaint yourself to some of the guidelines. Now, there is one other concern. Just quite some time back, and within the range of the cases you've talked about between 2020 and now, it's within this time we've experienced some sort of terrorism as a country. We've experienced quite a number of cases on trafficking. We've experienced quite a number of counterfeit products, and one would ask, how do these things get into the country? We want to believe our airport is tightened. These are the border points, they're tightened. And then we keep asking, where are those porous points? Where these things which are not good for our country penetrate through. And could it be that this could be one of the loose ends?
I remember when I just joined the authority, we used to have a lot of sensitization on wildlife trafficking of ivory.
Ivory, yes.
You'd find that the traffickers go out there, they get the item, and they want to pass it through Entebbe. And a lot was done with the Wildlife Society. They came and sensitized our staff on the new technologies that these people were using to try and export out or take out these items out of the country, and they wanted to use Entebbe International Airport. So we kept on sensitizing our staff, especially aviation police and aviation security, to be vigilant on how the traffickers are using these new methods,
yes,
to take out these wildlife species through Entebbe International Airport. That vice now stopped.
It's normal.
There is also a time when people were trying to traffic out dangerous things like cocaine, marijuana through the airport. And again, we had that sensitization by the respective people, and our staff really were equipped with skills that were now also stopped. So you can see how good we have been developing our security systems, that now it is very hard for such things to happen through Entebbe International Airport. Trafficking, talk about trafficking. Somebody is trying to go to work, and this is what we are saying. We don't want these good videos again, somebody to use the opportunity to make it a jokery of what is happening now on social media. Somebody goes there, puts on a shirt, which is not even for CAA, then sits there, he acts a movie that is asking for a passport from somebody, then he calls. They are trying to imitate what happens at the airport, but when this person does not even work at the airport. So they are trying just to add up also numbers on social media, instead of really bringing up important things that we need to improve our systems. So, like the trafficking, sometimes it's good for the immigration officers to really ask pertinent issues for somebody traveling. I've told you before I came here that you can have a 1-0 team who is in Dubai, and he has decided to send out invitation letters to 20 persons. One person from Kabale, another person from Kiriandongo, another person from Jinja, all over the country. But Otim is the one inviting them in Dubai. So when these people come to the airport, and then you ask, they have a visa, of course, they have a passport.
And the invitation.
Then you will find that because they are being trafficked, they have 2 tickets. One is taking them, maybe another one will bring, is probably supposed to bring them back. Now, to me, a ticket should be one, showing your departure
date of return.
And return. But these people have 2 tickets. So meaning that when they reach in Dubai, immediately to reach there, the second ticket is cancelled. So the person has gone there and does not think of returning. Now, when the immigration officer asks this person, who is the person inviting you?
Otim.
They don't know if, okay, maybe they may not Otim. Then when you ask, how do you call Otim? My brother. A 1 Otim
is a brother to someone from
a 1 Mukasa is a brother to Otim. A 1 Isabire is a brother to Otim. A 1 Nabire is a sister to Otim. Now, as an immigration officer, you're like, really? How can Otim invite Isabire and everybody say my brother? Then when you ask them, for example, when did Otim leave Uganda to go to Dubai? They cannot even explain. So you know that this person is being trafficked. One, they will not have even a labor letter. That
from where they are going?
From the Ministry of Gender.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because they are going to work, but they cannot say we are going to work. So they will carry a visit visa. But a visit visa, the person who is inviting them, they can't even tell who that person is. So for us to help these young boys and girls, we have to stop them. We have to stop them so that we don't get cases like you saw how our girls and boys were again facing a problem, and we are stuck in the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, sure.
Because they were there, then they started saying, government help us. They went not knowing what is there. So we really need to give morale to our immigration officers to do their work. Because I want to tell the public not again to make it a business to come to the airport. As I'm trying to ask you questions as an immigration officer, you move out your phone, you start filming. Let the immigration officer do their work so that if you have the valid papers, they allow you to go. If you don't have, then they stop you from flying. And I want to give you an example. It is not a must that when you have a ticket, a visa, a passport, that you can reach any destination. Maybe apart from the USA, the UK, whereby if those governments have given you a visa, when you reach there, they will not even question again your visa. But there is a case in South Africa that most Ugandans could go to South Africa through neighboring countries.
Through Malawi,
yeah,
Zimbabwe.
Maybe where the visa is not required. Mm-hmm. So they go there. Let me give an example, Swaziland. Then they enter South Africa by road. So when you reach South Africa, even when they have given you a transit visa, they want to know, like the person you have gone to, you're going
they follow up on you.
In Swaziland. Hello, Kenneth, do you know this person is here at Oliver Tambo International Airport and he says he's coming to Swaziland? Do you know this person? Once the other person does not, immediately they can put you on a flight back to Uganda. So it's not like in those countries, it's not a must that when you are given a visa,
it's enough. It's
enough.
All for you, actually.
Yes, yes.
Well, thank you, Kenneth. Now, on the issue of like the girls, because I think it could be one of the biggest chunks of passengers you always have at the airport. And I really don't know if you've put up enough safeguards into this. As we speak, there are quite a number of girls who are flying out. Mm-hmm. And when you happen to, you know, I think sometimes it's luck. Mm. Someone could find someone who is not so much rigid and who will not ask so many questions, like, anyway, again, you know. those things are there. What safeguards have you really put in place as an exit point, as an exit end to safeguard and protect our girls? Apart from asking show me your invitation, and they have show me, because someone would come when the invitation is not coming from Otim, who has sent 20 to different people, but that same person could come when really, if you give him more time to inquire and ask A, B, C, D, you'll find loopholes.
We have had a desk by the Minister of Labour, Gender and Social Development. Now, when those girls and boys are going out of the country, they are supposed to have requirements. First of all, they should be even in a uniform from the organization that maybe is getting them jobs. We expect those girls to have at least a labor letter
from the ministry.
That organization taking out these girls and boys.
The letter should come from the organization?
From the ministry.
Okay.
From the ministry. And of course, for them to give you a labor letter from the ministry, they have asked you background checks. Where are these girls going? Then the ministry issues you that letter with the number of girls written there that they are going to Dubai, they are going to work in this organization or for this company. If you choose to go as an individual, still we advise you to go to the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, and you get a letter, a labor letter, as an individual. Because somebody could be in Dubai and say, I've gotten you a job.
Yes.
So, and he sends you the appointment, everything. So when you go to the Ministry of Gender, they are able to give you that labor letter after they have also checked the other papers you have shown to them. So when you are given that labor letter, it is put on the network.
Okay.
So
the system.
On the system. So when you come at the airport, that desk checks in the system
and
to
they'll
see
find you there.
Whether
you've been cleared.
You have been cleared from the ministry. So when a girl comes and the name is not in the system, then we will know this person has lacked some of the requirements for them to go to the United Arab Emirates. Now, what we do, we have to cancel those persons. We have to tell them why they cannot proceed. But there have been some elements, like before even these girls reach at the labor desk, wherever they have come through, they say, hey, I know the airport, I can help you go through the airport, give me this money. And then you would find some girls coming there and they say, so and so, who is that person? I found that person, is it in Chitoro? Remove the money, he tells me that I come here. Normally they are on phone, coordinating. You move like this, move. So indeed you would find that a girl is just going to get stranded where the girl is going. So we cancel them, we take them to Aviation Police, and we call the Ministry of Gender to have these girls taken to the ministry, and they are cancelled as to why they can't travel.
Kenneth, with such safeguard measures, one would ask, how did the girls who got stranded in Dubai, how did they go through the airport to reach there?
Most of the girls that went to Dubai, the majority, I don't want to say that they passed through Entebbe International. You have heard also stories in the newspapers that they have gone through Kenya and they ended up in Dubai, especially when they know that we have tightened things at Entebbe International Airport. Others decide to go by road to the nearby international airport outside Uganda, and they go to Dubai. But that does not stop that also some have passed through Entebbe International Airport. And those are the cases where you have heard that money exchanged hands with some of our staff who that operate at the airport, and these persons end up going to the United Emirates.
And those are the cases you've handled.
And then you also see the cases of girls that are returned when they are mentally disturbed. They are on the flight, when they reach at the airport, when they are returned, they are in the Pampers. their heads are not functioning well, and the best we can do is to put them in the ambulance to take them to Bitabika. Others have come back dead. So we don't want the situation to be that. So we have to help these young boys and girls to find appropriate jobs that we are able to follow up as a country.
Right. You've talked about the customer service charter. In this charter, do you have any sort of working relationship with these recruitment agencies? Because one of the prerequisites for one to operate is to have a license from the ministry. But again, that does not stop you from doing dubious work. You know, most of the, I don't want to sound like I am pinning those job companies, but many of them, when you listen to the stories from all those girls in the Gulf region, you know, they'll tell you, I went through such and such a company. And when you come back, indeed, the company is known. It's also licensed to do the same job. But you find that they know that one thing to operate, to keep yourself in the business, is to have a license. Then what happens afterwards, it's a different case. So do you have some sort of maybe a binding document, some kind of an arrangement with those, job employment, labor companies, labor companies, yes.
I think I should not say much on these labor companies, because most of these labor companies don't have offices at the airport. For them, their work is to bring people through our airport, okay? Because you're mixing up issues here. The Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development will be able to answer that question.
No, I am not mixing.
Yes.
But in your preamble, you talked about the airport. Yes, you work with a number of service providers
for
there.
Agencies that operate at the airport. Now you remember these so and so Otim labor recruiting company is in Makindye, the other one is in Ntinda. Those don't operate at the airport. They operate outside the vicinity of the airport. But this charter is for agencies that operate at the airport. Okay. Let me give you an example. The ground handler does or enhance.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So they have got operating procedures. And even before they operate at the airport, they are licensed by the Directorate of Safety and the Economic Regulation.
Okay.
Okay? Given an operation license.
Yep.
They audit them. They audit the operations. So once they pass the application, they are licensed and they audit.
Yep.
Where they are not performing well,
they are checked still.
They are checked for improvement. But if one of those agents recruited a staff and met the competence, and this staff is given a job, and on the way doing the job, they change the way they work, they forget about their work ethics and integrity, then when they are caught in such an act of extorting money from traveling passengers, for us, we make a report and we recommend to the recruiting agency with our measures that should be taken.
Okay.
So it is now that agents that
to take action. Well, thank you so much for our viewers from wherever you're watching from. This is the Hotline Show, and tonight we need to look at the efficiency of the Entebbe International Airport. Remember, this is the only airport we have in the country, and we are basically here on this show to clear. There are quite a number of things that the public needs to understand, the public needs to know, and also for those with quite a number of questions, you could just go to our comment box, leave your comments there, and Kenneth, who is the Principal Public Affairs Officer, will be able to respond and, of course, give you some guidance on how you should go about it. We've also had quite a number of sexual harassment issues.
You see, issues to do with sexual harassment. Personally, I have not experienced them at the airport.
Okay.
But there can be allegations, but until you prove that you were harassed. But personally, I have not heard about that.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about the expansion of the airport. We all know that in 2016,
2015.
actually, thank you. In 2015, the airport went, the ministry, the mother ministry, and the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, with a loan from the Exim Bank, totaling to 200 million US dollars. That is over 700 billion. To expand our airport, to work on, to improve the runways, cargo handling center, and quite a number of things. And from 2015, this job was supposed to be done by 2022, right? And now we've learned that it has been pushed to 2024. But I remember, I think last year in 2021, the other year, 2021, there was a media tour where many journalists were taken over to see the progress. And work was at 75% completed. And one would ask, between 2011, 25% takes us from 2011 to 2024. What could be happening?
I think it is important to create awareness, give information so that people understand. This loan is $325 US million, 325 million.
Okay.
The first phase, where we used 200 million.
Yes.
Then the second phase, 125.
Yes.
Now, when you look at the first phase, what's the progress? I would basically say that works are almost complete. It's just a few works on the air side where we want the hydrant, because we have constructed a new fuel farm at the shores of the lake. So the hydrant, the line that will carry the Jet A1 fuel to feed the aircraft, we are trying to pass it on Apron 1. But if you look at
Apron 1, that is like the parking now.
Yeah,
for
the parking
yes.
now for the aircraft. But if you look at the works on the runway, 17/35.
It's actually in operation, right?
It is in operation.
Yes.
It was well done. It is in operation. Currently, we have had an Otim just to remove rubber that accumulates as the plane land and take off. When you look at runway 12/30, it was equally done. What is remaining there is to put the lights along the runway. When you look at the taxiways, when a plane has landed, it has to get off the runway and use the road to tax, move until it comes to the park, what we call the apron.
Tax that's moving on.
Yes, you leave the
a vehicle now.
Yes. Now you leave the runway, you come off the runway and you start moving to where you're going to park.
Yes.
Those are called taxiways,
yes.
which we have equally done, all of them. We have expanded the Apron 1, so that we can get where smaller aircrafts can also park. That is equally done. The new cargo center, because the new cargo center is 100,000 tons that is supposed to be housed there with its apron. We have constructed the new cargo center and its apron, and it's about to start operations. And good enough that even the volumes of cargo is now too much that we are thinking of expanding on that new cargo center, because now the cargo has more than increased. So we should
besides
also,
what you projected.
Yes, we should also be looking again in time to come to expand on the new cargo center.
Okay.
So when you look at the works that were supposed to be in phase 1, they are almost complete. Apart from those
the lights,
the line, the lights, the hydrant, which is passing the Apron 1, the lights, but otherwise everything is done. Now, phase 2, which is the expansion of the terminal building, that new terminal building that we are constructing is 20,000 square meters. So that is the works that now is going. But as as far as phase 1, we're almost done. So phase 2, it is what is going on.
So the 25% is within phase 2?
Yes.
And a few things to fix within phase 1, like the lighting and the hydrant?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you. And I remember some time back, Mr. Lee Kimp. Yes. I was like, he's very much confident that by 2024, work will be fully completed. Okay, now let's talk about the impact of COVID. You know, when COVID came, quite a number of sectors were affected. And how much were you affected?
Really, COVID not only affected the air industry in Uganda, but worldwide. Yeah, sure. It affected, airports were closed. Only those that were repatriating and either carrying cargo could fly. And as Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, it really impacted on us because, of course, we could no longer get aeronautical revenue. And even the non-aeronautical revenue of people coming through to the airport was also down. But we had to pay staff. We had to meet utilities, electricity, water. And our reserves maybe helped us to go through that. And we thank God that government was on our side to help us go through this hard time. But as far as COVID is concerned, our aeronautical revenues went down and our non-aeronautical revenues went down. In 2020, I would see that the previous year we had almost hit 2 million passengers because we were at 1.98 million passengers.
But per annum or monthly?
No, that was annum.
Okay.
Then when we came during COVID, what was left was cargo and repatriation flights. Then when we are opened, we saw our numbers coming to 1.9 again, like the other year in 2021, 1.9 something. But 2022, our numbers went again down to 1.7 million passengers because we had also that year the impact of the Ebola pandemic in the country. So it affected us, but on the side of cargo has kept on performing well, that even when we were in COVID, at least we could see some numbers of cargo coming through the country. If I could refer to my statistics here, in 2021, our metric tons were 64,172. In
I beg your pardon?
64,172.
Okay.
In 2020, it was 720 metric tons. 2019, it was 731 metric tons.
790?
731 metric tons. Okay. Which has kept on growing because in 1991, when the Civil Aviation Authority, before even we became Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, started, the metric tons were 6,600. So you can see that the volumes of cargo have kept on growing and growing, which gives us an indication that at least as far as the cargo, and good enough, we are seeing that we are getting a good number of exports compared to the imports. So I think that's a good thing for the industry, that our export industry is growing, and we need to expand on the new cargo center so that we can meet this growing demand for both out and inflow of cargo.
Well, Kenneth, I know you guys are doing a job which is so herculeous. It's complex, you know, and one would ask, what are some of the successes that you're so proud of, like as a sector now? that you've offered towards the entire industry? Because we need really to tap into those things, and the public really needs to know if you're doing something or you're just consuming our taxpayers' money for...
No.
Yes.
I really want to say that Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, we have really performed well as far as the safety of our passengers, safety of our equipment. When I talk about equipment, I want to talk about the aircraft that park. We have done well as far as licensing the crew, a crew that is competent enough to protect the lives of the flyers, of the passengers. We have supported tourism.
Yeah, sure.
Because it is also our mandate to support tourism, and we have opened up regional airports that are geared to support tourism. Talk about Kidepo, Pakuba, Kisoro. All those are one of the some of the 5 regional airports that have been earmarked to support tourism. As far as regulating the industry, we have really done very well. As far as security is concerned, I remember a cow squaring us 81%. This year in November.
Last year?
Sometime back. But this year in November we are going again for another audit. So pray for us that we even make it more than even 81%. So we have performed quite well as far as the industry is concerned in terms of safety, security. Now we need to improve on services. Okay? So
when you talk about services, what do you mean in particular?
The way we facilitate our passengers, the way we facilitate our passengers, the way we handle cargo, because you have had sometime there was also social media posts that we were not handling cargo very well. People would show a video of people throwing cargo. Is it on the X-ray machines as it went through the X-ray machine? So we have sensitized our airport stakeholders, staff especially, on how to handle very well cargo. Especially
and sometimes they are labeled.
That is sensitive.
Yes.
On how, even like on how to have a seamless flow for passengers. And when we get this social media feedback, indeed it is going to help us to improve our facilitation of passengers through the airport. Me, I'm happy that the constructive feedback that has come in is really going to help us to improve services. But as I earlier said, let us not again demoralize our staff at the airport by taking unnecessary videos when they are trying to check. Because you will find that you come to the airport and they say, please open your bag, I want to thoroughly check. Then you start taking videos. So we don't want to go to that level whereby now passengers...
We demolish our own.
Yes. Because when you post negative stories worldwide, you're also tarnishing the image of your country, the image of your airport. So you might think that you're tarnishing the image of Uganda Civil Aviation Authority or the airport, but equally you're tarnishing the image of the airport worldwide. And it will even affect the number of the tourism that tourists that want to come into the country. So we should have responsive posting of these videos.
It seems many people are taking advantage of, I don't know, it's your way of doing business, you know, to the point that people can go, they record such videos. Is there any way you're doing as especially persons with a mandate to ensure that you safeguard, you protect and promote the image of the industry? What are some of the measures you have undertaken to counter-react to, you know, such images?
First of all, we have got people who have volunteered to be good influencers. You can also join. So we give you realistic information, and then we create awareness. Because I realized that some of these videos they don't even know what takes place at the airport. Some of these videos, but although there have been some which are genuine. So from the feedback, I've realized that people needs to know the passenger travel do's and don'ts.
Okay.
When you're traveling, what are the do's, what are the don'ts, what are the travel requirements? People really need to know when are you supposed to report for your check-in. Somebody doesn't know that for an airline closes an hour before its departure. So if they tell you 3
hours before.
Don't come at 2. Then you say, but my flight is at 3. The airline closes an hour before its departure. So when we tell you, please come to the airport 3 hours before your flight, know that there is 1 hour where the airline is going to close to prepare for its departure.
Yes.
Okay? But somebody, because the ticket has 3, will come at 2. Then say, but I'm on time. An airline closes an hour before to prepare boarding and other processes before it takes off. So be at the airport 3 hours early to go through our security processes, to go through
migration,
our port health, immigration. Sometimes you can come when it is peak time and jam is too much. For you just to enter the airport, it will take you time.
Yeah.
Then after entering the airport, you go through port health, you go through immigration. So it will take you a lot of time. So I advise passengers to always come early so that you spend the time to go through these processes.
Well, thank you so much, Kenneth. And we'll be, of course, going for a very short break. And when we come back, the hotline show will continue. And of course, we'll be talking about maybe if there are some future plans for our own airport, and maybe turning the regional airports into, other international airports to minimize traffic if it's there. He talked about the emergencies, but we will be going quite deeper into these emergencies and how they are able to respond. Well, let's go for a very, very short break, and when we return, the hotline show will continue.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Are you craving for that special meal that will entice your taste buds and leave you with lasting thrilling memories? Look no further. Spice Island Bulenga has got your answer. Natural, fresh and delicious juice, the best meals. Don't miss our daily specials from Monday to Sunday. Pizza Wednesday, Saturday Pizza Bonanza, you buy one and take 2. Come dine with us and feel the experience. We are located at Prime Shopping Center in Bulenga, Mitiana Road. For inquiries, call us on 0704111720. Spice Island, we treat your cravings.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digitalk brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digitalk,
as he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digitalk TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
Hello, beautiful Beautiful people, you're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday right from 6 to 7.
Naku zino twajirwa flat tummy. Tukyayambalako ku ngoye obutukwata.
Wajja naku body shaming. Speak up. Genda oba confronting. Obagambe ekyo kyemukola si kirungi.
Towerabira nti tuli wano ku the Alternative Digitalk. Mukwano gwange gwali topic kiri wandyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
Nga nze tata wange amanyi era nkola n'obuvunanyizibwa nyina bungi. Era agezaako n'anyamba-yambako yanda.
Naye kumukubira kumubuuzaako. Noga mama we bali kunzaala.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships?
Come and visit, call me. Simanyanga I miss you bichi. Especially embeera y'obudde si nnungi.
Naye n'omuntu akwagalira mu season aba takwagala ze nkubuulira.
Just be commenting a topic yona gyandyagadde twogereko tujja kuba tujogera ku wano ku the Alternative Digitalk ku share enganzi the Snap Talk.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Well, welcome back from that short commercial break, and then we have to continue with our discussion. Just like earlier on I said, we have Mr. Otim Kenneth, the Principal Public Affairs Officer at the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, and he is based in Entebbe. Well, Kenneth, there are quite a number of things. You remember when we had the COVID-19 outbreak? This is something that caught us as a country by surprise. You know, I remember it was December 2020. That's when it started. And it got so serious here by around March of 2021. And one would ask, one way to how this pandemic, and of course the other things like the Ebola, and they always come through. We will always point at you, you know. So, did you pick some lessons from COVID-19? And have you been able to do things quite differently from how you've been doing them after the outbreak?
Of course, people used to say the COVID was airborne. A pandemic, but as you saw, our first case came from Dubai, and that means that Entebbe International Airport is well equipped with the equipment to detect.
Okay.
We have got our thermoscans that detect some of these signs, like high temperature. And on arrival, you find a thermoscan. Somebody was like, but I came through and I never saw anybody checking me. I don't need to come to you and check you, but as you enter the immigration hall, you first go through the port health. And somewhere in a corner is our thermoscan, which has screened you already as you're coming in.
Okay.
So we are able to detect your temperature. Equally, on departure, we have a thermoscan. As you're coming to enter the check-in hall, we have already scanned your temperature. And if the machine shows that you have a high temperature, we isolate you, put you somewhere. If it's the effect of the sun, and see whether you can cool down, then we again put you back through the machine and see whether the temperature is normal.
Okay.
So, as far as our port health at the border, Entebbe International
They did
Airport,
their best.
They did their best.
So there is nothing new to be done. They were just well prepared to handle the...
Of course, and we generated SOPs. So in case of any pandemic similar to COVID, we have got SOPs. In any case similar to Ebola, we have got SOPs. We are always with the ministry staff. We are always sensitizing our staff on the signs of Ebola, the signs of COVID, how you to handle an Ebola patient. So our staff are aware that if such a pandemic again returns, we shall be able to handle.
Currently, in some countries in Europe, they have already instituted some bans, travel bans from, they've put up some, they've restricted, like maybe if someone is coming from China, because as we may think COVID is no more, there is a likelihood of coming up again if we are not careful. Because as we speak in China, things are not good. And do we have some sort of restrictions coming from our Uganda Civil Aviation Authority? Like we see it in other countries. They say if you're coming from China, for now, please, first stay at your home. Better care one way, Maybe you'll... Do we have such?
There has been this argument that if you can see, I was on a radio talk show for our friends in the UK, and we were saying, why is Uganda putting us through these presenting COVID certificates, negative COVID certificates, yet here in UK, in the USA, those things have been scrapped. That is the argument. That is the argument. But for us, our SOPs here, when you're departing or arriving, our SOPs indicate that you have to be either fully vaccinated, and if you're not fully vaccinated, you have to present a negative PCR result. And if you're traveling with children below 5 years are exempted, but above 5 years, they have to be either vaccinated or they
present PCR certificates.
So those are our requirements as you depart, and those are our requirements as you return. The other additional as you return is a yellow fever certificate that you have to present. And you see also people had started forging the yellow fever certificate, but these days they are codes with the new ones that are being issued. So if we find that you have a fake one, we shall retain it at the airport and request you to go and get an authentic one. Or if not, we give you a jab at your own cost on arrival. Yes.
So you mean to say that for anyone wishing to travel to Uganda, you must be fully vaccinated?
Or bear a negative PCR result certificate, yes.
So you don't want to go into these other restrictions, barring, even if you're coming from China, as long as you have that, you're good to come.
Of course, before, you cannot board to come to Uganda when you're in UK, when you don't have that negative PCR certificate, or when you're not fully vaccinated. That is already communicated to the airmen. Airmen.
Okay.
It's in our travel requirements when you're coming to Uganda, that you have to bear a negative PCR certificate or fully vaccinated.
So each country issues out its own guidelines.
Yes.
And they don't necessarily have to be the same.
Yes.
Uganda does things differently from...
Yes, because every destination might have different requirements.
Okay.
Like now, for you to travel to South Africa, you need a yellow fever card.
That's all.
For you you need a visa, a passport,
and a yellow fever.
And a yellow fever.
COVID is not an issue to them.
COVID is not an issue, but at least those three you need them. And Tanzania, equally the same. UK, they are saying COVID is not an issue, but for us here it's our requirement for you to depart. So let us not mix things. Like our friends in the diaspora are saying, here in UK, those things were scrapped, but it is our requirement.
This is not UK.
We don't want you to take COVID to UK. It is our requirement that you have a negative PCR or you're fully vaccinated before you go to UK. Yes.
This yellow fever, okay.
We don't want people to reach UK, then they say, this case came from Uganda. No. We want to transport passengers that are free from COVID or free from Ebola.
And you don't want COVID to be transported from wherever it is.
From wherever it is
to Uganda.
Back to Uganda. Yes.
Well, I wanted to ask about this yellow fever thing. You know, is it still that serious, the yellow fever? I mean, I'm not talking about the yellow fever certificate, but the infection, the yellow fever. Is it that serious? You know, I remember in school, we used to study about the 6 killer diseases. And you find that sometimes some of them have really weakened up, and though they have added, I think they are now 8. And yellow fever thing, is it really serious, like that illness is there, or it's now just a formality that you must have a yellow fever?
Last year, I remember a communication that came from the ministry that indicated that cases of yellow fever had again re-emerged. I'm forgetting that type of mosquito which causes that yellow fever. And therefore, seriousness was put to ensure that people get vaccinated. So it's a serious one.
Okay.
And especially somebody who is coming from Europe who doesn't know how an African mosquito bites. It's important you come when you're vaccinated. Yes.
Well, thank you, Kenneth. We talked about the emergencies. I remember 3, 4, 5 years back, I think. 4 years. No, more than that. We were invited. We went to the airport. At first, even when we were covering the story, we thought indeed there was a crash. You know, we went just down there and find people lying in the grass, others with wounds, artificial wounds, and like, wow. So we realized later on, like, oh, it was a stunt. And then later on, I learned it's done periodically. Could you take us through that?
It's called a simulation.
Simulation.
And according to the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, it is a requirement that this exercise is done after every 2 years.
Okay.
So, like we did it last year, this year we shall have a table exercise. Then the other year, in 2024, we shall do it again. Now, it's a full-scale emergency exercise for us to practice, to remind ourselves of what we should do when we have
an emergency
of that kind. It might not be at Entebbe International Airport. It might be along the flight path. There is also what we call the search and rescue, that we know the flight path of these aircraft as they come to land at Entebbe. So we go sensitizing people in Ichoga area, in Iteso, because most of those are flight paths. So when there is a crash, how can the people and the other agents come in to help? That's what we call the search and rescue, within our vicinity of our radar. Now, this one is a plane crash. Now, every stakeholder at the airport is given a role, even us in public affairs. How are we going to communicate to the media? How are we going to communicate to the relatives, for example, of the victims of the crash? So, what is our role? Our role is to ensure that information, we keep on updating the media and the public what is going on. Then aviation police, how do you cordon off?
Ambulances.
The ambulances, the hospitals, how do they come to our rescue? How fast are they able to respond when an incident of that kind happens? So we, of course, bring them through this table talk sensitization, and when the exercise is going to take place, we tell them this week the exercise will take place, but we shall not tell them the exact day and the time, because we want to see how fast they will react. Because an incident does not communicate that tomorrow I'm going to happen. No, even us, how are we going to respond? Our firemen, how are they going to respond? So this is an exercise that ICAO requires us to to practice after every 2 years.
Who does the monitoring when this exercise is taking place?
We have got independent verifiers like from Kasoa. Kasoa is another body that is regional, like you see ICAO, but it's regional, that comes in to monitor. And of course, we have got independent observers from the medical side of it. If people are injured, how do you treat? So a doctor will say, I saw a dead body that was asking for water, that it was thirsty. So those are some of the feedback you get, that how can you be a dead body, then you're asking for water. So these are things. Then they will say, you took long to put out fire. Because within 35 minutes, fire should be put out. So if you're still fighting with fire for an hour, no. It has to be less than 40 minutes. So did we meet the time? How did we handle the dead? How did we handle the injured? Okay. How did we handle the critically injured? So these are all areas.
How quick were the ambulances?
How quick were the response within the airport? How did the tower communicate to the fire station? How did the fire station communicate to our call center? How did the call center mobilize the members who are supposed to be in the emergency operations center, the EOC? How did the call center mobilize those people? How was public affairs prepared to issue a holding statement? How did they keep on briefing or updating the public and the media? So all these are issues that we train ourselves to be well versed with during that exercise.
Don't you experience some sort of laxity because people know this is more of an acting thing?
No, because we take it actually very serious. Just like you see in crisis management, there has to be a crisis team. And you have to always update yourself with the techniques you're going to employ when such a crisis happens. Otherwise, you might forget. So equally, we have even a documentation on the procedures for people to read. You revise and get to understand your role. Because sometimes we have got new entrants into the airport community. People have worked, maybe other people have exited. New ones have come in. So those new ones should be conversant with these procedures.
Well, I know there are quite a number of comments coming through from some of our viewers, and I'd love to read through some of them. And then Kenneth will be able to respond to some. Here I am seeing, this is Patricia Among. She says, hasn't there been any recorded cases of staff extortion of money from travelers before this whole saga? If there has been, why has it taken them this long to act? If there has been action, why is there an escalation of the act stroke of vice instead of it reducing? Should I read them at once, or you?
No, maybe I can answer that first. Patricia, just to respond to your question, is that as I started this show, I told you that it's not that now we are able to take action. Our action started a long time ago. In 2020, we have investigated many cases of extortion, especially when the travelers have complained. We have gone on our CCTV cameras and we have followed up and we have investigated. And once we got the proof,
you take action,
and evidence, we have taken action. Most of those people that we have arrested have left the airport, because we don't want to have those bad apples within the airport, because even if no action is taken, then other people might think that anyone can do that, and then we keep quiet. So such persons We have removed our passes and we have requested them to exit the airport.
Well, to remind Patricia and other viewers, Kenneth told us that from 2020 to 2023 January, as we speak today, they have been able to record 26 cases. And, well, another question again from Patricia again, actually. And two, have they discovered the cause or the reason why their staff are extorting money from the travelers?
Like I have to say, Patricia, that we have good staff. The majority of our staff are good. But there are also those staff that really have got these habits of extorting money from passengers. So, I think when the passengers come to the airport, they have got what they expect. Now, when they come to the airport and their expectations is not what they find, and really either some of these are first-time travelers, it's your first time to be at the airport. You don't know processes. People want to take advantage of such persons. But those that have been going through the airport, you will find that most of them, they will not tell you that at any one time they faced such an issue of people asking money from them. But most of these cases have been reported by our first-time travelers.
And there are also chances that the unreported cases are also many.
Yes, because there are also those cases where maybe somebody never met requirement and willingly wanted to give somebody money so that they are able to fly, and they have not reported. But we have also seen videos of long time ago, meaning that those are the cases that were not reported. Somebody gets a video of either 2019, when these social media posts were very rampant last week, then he gets his video of 2016, and now he also brings it. But he has never reported any case of that nature to us, for us to investigate.
Then this is Ethan Mwine. Thank you for the guest. What he's doing is not helping. You cannot come here and tell us that some of the people, you cannot come here and tell us that some of the people who have been recorded extorting money don't actually work at the airport. That is a very, this is strong. That is a very lame excuse. Shouldn't there be a system that ensures that only qualified and actual employees are in the right places to help the people? That is already a sign that your system is loose and should be improved. Take this criticism positively. That's Ethan Mwine.
Ethan, I want to say this. If you got me correct, I say that most of these cases do not happen at the airport. That is what I mentioned. That most of these cases have either happened in Kampala before even the people travel to the airport, or in Entebbe before they come into the airport vicinity. But I did not rule out that some have happened in the airport and our cameras has recorded, and we have got the culprits. So there are 3 areas where this happens. Out in Kampala, in Entebbe outside the airport, at our land side where we have gaps of CCTV, and also in the terminal.
Okay.
But we have investigated most of these cases when complaints have been brought or when we have seen it on our CCTV. And we have found these persons. That's what I wanted to tell Ethan.
Well, and again...
And of course he's saying that we should employ people with integrity. Indeed, for you to work at the airport, security has to vet you. Before you come to work at the airport, before we give you our pass, you are vetted. by security. We request you to go to Interpol and get that letter, which you come, and our security committee, vetting committee, vets you, and before we give you our pass.
Okay. Well, and again, one other thing I think Ethan should know is that you didn't rule out, much as the cases could have taken place in Kampala, they could involve airport staff who know that if I am out of the airport, maybe I am safe to do.
I'm safe, yes.
Yes, yeah. And well, then Busi Deko says, Tuli Busi Kuchizinga, mu federal system. Okay, my connection has issues. I've lost my my chat. Sorry. I think I've lost my chats. I'm going to ask the team in control room to kindly share. Okay, I'm back. I'm there. Then this one says, we have here lots. We have had lots of Chinese taking special interest in the transport sector, i.e., sorry, my connection has issues, but I'll read those comments. Let me get there again. Okay, yes. We have had lots of Chinese taking special interest in the transport sector, i.e., roads and airports in Africa. Can your guest tell us the reason why China has interest in African roads and airports?
What's the name of the person?
Joram.
Joram, I'm not going to speak for the National Roads Authority because I'm not a spokesperson for National Roads Authority. But why Uganda picked a loan from the Chinese? Because they had a loan which had a very good interest rate. It had a very good interest rate, and they gave us a very good grace period for us to be able to pay back the loan. And I think it was the best offer that we could receive for us to get it from the Exim Bank to do our works that we are doing at Entebbe International Airport.
I think another question from the same person. We have equally heard of the Chinese loans in the expansion of the airport. Won't it be taken in the event that we are unable to pay the loan?
Of course, we have never seen. Remember during that time of the debate of the Chinese taking over airports.
We had the Huan something.
Yes. But one that is just
propaganda.
Yuan is the address of Entebbe. You know, it's not that it's Chinese.
Okay.
In our aviation books, Entebbe, that's the address.
It's called
Huen.
Huan.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not that it's a Chinese name. It's just the address of Entebbe in the aviation language.
Okay.
Yes. And the question was?
Want the airport to be taken over in case we fail to pay?
No. Because first of all, we have never at any one time faulted to pay the Exim Bank, because they can take over, a bank can take over a property if you have failed to pay, isn't it? But if I'm paying your monthly loan repayment, can you take over my house? No. So Civil Aviation Authority has never failed at any one time to pay.
Even during the hard times of COVID-19?
Even during the hard times of COVID-19. We had to go and renegotiate our loan and say, these are hard times, and the bank understood. And now that we are back into operation, we have resumed paying our loan repayment. So we have not failed to pay, that the Chinese can take over the airport. But even if there came a situation of that kind, still there is what we call a guarantor when you're going to go to the bank. Somebody who is behind you to get that.
Sounds like, please.
The government is there.
But the government is equally struggling with so many loans.
Government is there. Even before we got this bank, there is some money that we first put there.
A deposit.
A deposit. So we have not so far failed to pay this loan. No.
Well, Princess Luwade says, how are you going to handle people involved in these recent corruption scandals?
That's a very good one, Princess. One, we have resolved that if we find you with a case of extorting money from a passenger, we shall investigate. Not just to dismiss you. We want to dismiss you with facts.
With facts, yes.
And once the facts are against you that really you took money from a passenger, then you're not fit to work at Entebbe International Airport. You shall exit being part of our family at Entebbe International Airport. But we have also now decided that all staff at Entebbe International Airport are going to put on uniform with a name tag. So that.
But it has been like that.
It
wasn't mandatory.
Apart from the aviation police and maybe immigration that have been having the tags which you put on your shirt, you can also remove. Here I'm talking about embroidery of your shirt.
Okay.
And starting tomorrow,
the 24th.
Or the 24th, all staff will be required to bring their uniform, and we put their name, Otim, visible, so that if I picked money, you can say, Otim picked money from me. Secondly, we are saying that all our staff, we are going to take them through a customer service training so that they are able to understand why it is important to put a passenger first and treat passengers equally. Okay? So this will help us to add value as far as customer training is concerned, so that we are able to have a seamless flow facilitation of our passengers once they come to the airport. There are also cases that areas where we have seen that there has been many cases of extortion reported at the labor desk, reported at Port Health. So we want to remove some of those processes. For example, if you went to the gender ministry and they give you a labor letter and it is put in the system online, immigration is able to see that.
Okay.
When you have gone there. So that will remove on these checks, because those checks have been loopholes also, whereby you go through many checks, and then if you don't meet here, somebody says, maybe if you give me... So if you remove those checks, it will reduce on the areas where there has been extortion.
Well, over the 26 cases, how many cases have you investigated and found them to be true that they happened, and you've taken action of the 26 cases?
I am not sure of how many cases, because others are pending.
Okay.
Others are pending because gathering evidence, especially those that happen outside the airport, you need to gather evidence. Some are reported after a month when the evidence is no more, but the person claims. So those are some of the pending. But those that have happened in the airport, our CCTV coverage is thorough. We are able to detect them. You cannot steal anything from the airport. You cannot exchange money when you are at the airport, because our CCTV coverage is thorough, and we shall find you. But of course, there is also one where we have realized that we need to also communicate to our staff not to move with their phones when they are going to serve passengers. Because phones, apart from their supervisors, because you realize that phones, somebody might not pay you physically the money, but might send you mobile money on your phone. So as you're there, the person is communicating. Hey, the person coming is putting on blue, he has a red scarf. So when you remove that phone away from you, you will not have that communication with the other person who is either trying to traffic somebody.
Yes, but even if I do not have my phone with me and someone approaches my desk when I need something like, deposit there 200,000.
Below all our workstations, there is a camera.
Do they take the conversations?
They don't take the conversation, but the action is seen.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, and then another thing I wanted to find out, I wanted to know, how much have you been affected by these media, kind of stories that have been running through, exposing, the airport of such, such extortions? How much have you been affected?
It is two-way. The feedback that is real that we have received has helped us to know areas where we need to improve our business processes.
Yep.
And these are measures, some of them that I've been reading to you, how we are going to be able. And we have now had meetings with all our agencies. We have had meetings with immigration. We are going to have meetings with customs. We are going to have meetings with the airlines. We are going to have meetings with the ground handlers. We are going to have meetings with the aviation police, aviation security. We are going to have meetings with port health, so that we are able to tell them the measures, the new measures that we have put in place for them to understand. And if they are caught after we have told them those new measures, then it will be at their own demerit, their own expense. It will be something that they are going into an act knowing the repercussions of our new measures that we are bringing on board. Negatively, it has affected the industry. Because as I said, those bloggers that have tried even to bring up videos that are not true about the airport. Some videos are correct, but some videos are not true. For example, we are in a meeting with the stakeholders at the airport, and we wanted to treat that this is what is happening, some of the measures we are taking. Somebody went on that treat, picked out the picture on the treat, and recorded his own words in that picture. For example, we are seated here. Somebody takes us a picture and then say, the moderator and Otim were caught stealing by taking our picture. And then they put a voice, which is really demoralizing to our staff. Some people, as you bring in items in your suitcases and our scanner detects something, we tell you, please open, and we do a physical check. Now, as you're doing a physical check in somebody's suitcase or luggage, somebody is busy recording what you're doing. That person is going to carry that video and puts that this one was looking for money from my suitcase, which is not correct.
There is a cartoon I saw. Mm-hmm. You must have seen it.
Yes.
Someone was on the desk and there is a queue behind. And they're like, may I have a look at your visa? And then the hand is on that weighing stuff. How would you call it?
On the weighing scale.
Yes, on the weighing scale at the
check-in desk.
The check-in desk, yes. And on the hand is like trying to, because there was a case of someone who was like some dollars where I think I have that case here, where someone took around $10,000 facilitating illegal passenger to Brazil, and $10,000 US dollar with incomplete document. That was NAS passenger handling. The suspect is Letitia Nakaichi of NAS handled administratively, and she was terminated. Then there is extortion to add weight to another Pax's person without weight. Then that was NAS passenger handling. The suspect is Maureen Atuhumza of NAS, handled administratively, and she was terminated. Then there was extortion of is this 50,000 in a bid to return back a victim's passport. This was on 19th January 2023. The complainant is Nakabogo Shamim, and the suspect is Kadumbola Wilberforce, AVPOL. What is it? Aviation Police.
Yes. By the way, let me tell you something. Our travelers also need to know this. The only person who can remove a passport from a traveler is an immigration officer. And even when they remove that passport, they should give you at least a receipt to show that they confiscated your passport. Not any other person to come and find you, I'm working in aviation police or avisec, and then I confiscate your passport without leaving you with any document to show that I took your passport. Okay, then we have also generated information displays on our feeds, the flight information display,
yes,
those TVs. We have put their numbers of the general manager, of the manager operations, of the aviation security manager, in case you reach the airport. And most of this extortion cases that we have registered take place in the night. In the night. During daytime, you will not hear this. But in the night, when maybe most of the leadership, maybe they are at home, then these things will take place. But we have now put these numbers of the general manager, of manager aviation security, of operations on the feeds, flight information display. Should any of our staff, or even me or team, ask you for money, the numbers are there. Please call and say, I am right now at counter this.
Otim is asking
and
for this.
your team, because my name will be visible, is asking for money. The responsible manager is going to call the officers on duty to go and ascertain that complaint. And if it's true, then we shall get the depth of that extortion.
Well, there is another question here. This is Kalumba Leonard. We saw someone selling grasshoppers in a Bombardier. How did this happen? Did you punish those that allowed him to sell grasshoppers inside our Bombardier?
The tourist people, for them, they said it was a good thing, but on our side, we cautioned the staff. We cautioned the staff because there's even food that is on the aircraft
is checked.
So it's not that any food goes on the aircraft. The person cooking food nearest is audited, the food for it to go on the aircraft. So we cautioned the staff that were on duty when the grasshopper. So there are lessons to learn.
That man of the grasshopper, I remember when he went, did he come back and hand over himself to, I don't know what happened there, but I remember a story came up after, when he came at this because he traveled.
He came and he was remorseful. He said,
I am the one.
He never knew that what he did
was wrong.
So he asked for, he was apologetic, he was remorseful. Then he says, for me, I thought I can do this on the aircraft. Little didn't I know that it is not allowed on the aircraft. Yes, so.
And there was no one actually to guide, what you're doing is not right. He was just given green lights and really he thought it's another opportunity for him to get some cash.
I think, you know, when you're going on board, the crew is helping people either to put their bags in the cabins, and of course this man, he says it was his first time to fly. He's excited with these grasshoppers. Yes, so it is something that is understandable, and when you talk to somebody, they get to understand, and they never repeat such habits.
Yes, this one says, Abdallah Latif, please ask the guest whether he can travel without a COVID-19 vaccination certificate. Myself, himself, not me, myself, I was vaccinated twice, but the online system doesn't reflect this information. What advice does he have for such a person?
Of course, when you are vaccinated, they give you documents. Me, when I was vaccinated, they gave me a vaccination card, which I have up to now. So if my information is not in the system, I will carry my card to where I was vaccinated, and that information is put on the system. I have a card. Now, in order not to carry your card everywhere you're going, the information is put on the system. So I guess if he says that he was vaccinated, he was given a vaccination card to show that he completed the doses and stamped by the health center. So let him carry that vaccination card to that place, and the data is entered in the system.
But in case someone carries that card, actually the certificates are online. They're in soft copy. So can I present that soft copy and I proceed with my journey?
Yeah, you can also show that card, because that card, but how authentic, you know, because you can even forge the stamp on that card. So for you to avoid forge, because the system had can you forge it? The system. But the card, you can go to NASA and make a stamp which resembles for Kazuri Port Health. I'm just giving an example. And then you stamp there, yet it is not in the system. So your card, which he was given when he was vaccinated, he should take it to where he got vaccinated, and they can freshly put that information
in the system. Okay.
Because when it comes to the airport, for us, we shall go in the system. And if his information is not in the system, he's not vaccinated according to us.
Regardless whether he has the certificate?
Yes, because it can be a forged one, a forged card.
But other than the system, are you able to verify this if it's, you know, besides the system? Or the only way to verify is when it's in the system?
It's when it's in the system.
Because I've had this case.
Because we had so many cases of forged certificates. So many cases. Somebody appears with a negative PCR. When he reaches Dubai, is detected with COVID. Then he was like, but the person carried a negative. So they were forging them. So to avoid forging them, they said, now, after vaccination, this information is put in the system. Now, in the system, we shall know the health center or hospital that put a person negative when he was positive, and you're penalized.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we are coming to the end of the show. We have like 10 minutes. And we want to talk about the expansion, the airports, those regional airports, and you've earlier talked about the cargo center being already, you know, the projection was, it has exceeded. The tons being handled of the cargo coming through exceeds your initial projection, calling for fresh expansion. And now that we have these other regional, here there is another airport being constructed in Hoima. Kabari. Yes. And so is it another one in Kasese, something like that? I don't know.
Kasese is one of those tourist regional airports. We are.
Oh, that's under the regional,
yes.
Not the international airport. Another international airport coming through. Now, my question here is, are you planning to?
But the regional one, somebody, we want to put them in a situation that somebody can come from Nairobi and land. If, for example, it's a chartered flight,
okay,
and land in Kasese and land in Soroti. Yes, yes.
But we also have regional destinations like from Entebbe to Chidepo,
yes, domestic.
Entebbe to Arua.
Yes.
Yes.
We have those domestic flights,
okay,
which are done, for example, by Aerolink, which are
Aerolink,
done,
yes,
for example, by
Precise,
Bar Aviation.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, do you have plans of, like when you have some other airports like the Chibari you've talked about, in that you'll be able to reduce on the traffic here, and maybe some of the goods are handled from, and even the passengers?
For example,
because like when you're like when you may be traveling to Kenya, you could choose to use Jomo Kenyatta, or if you're heading to Mombasa side, you use Moi Airport.
You're right.
Yes.
One of our when you look at our vision, we want to make air transport affordable. Now, if we are to make air transport affordable, we have to promote even these domestic flights.
Yes.
That means that our regional airports should be promoted. The people needed to know the importance of these regional airports in their vicinities.
Yes, yes.
Because sometimes when we went to sensitize, people are saying, now, of what value, you are in Soroti now, of what value is civil aviation to us? Meaning that they don't know the value of Soroti aerodrome in their region. Okay? So, we have seen that these regional airports will promote tourism. When you go to Arua, there is a lot of traffic there. So, if we can improve on Arua, which we have already done, it means that we can get those flights from DRC, they can land there, they can take off, things of that kind.
I heard Arua was stalled by land conflict sometime back.
No, we want to expand on the land.
Okay.
So there are people who want to sell us land, but then you find that maybe the families have got grievances, they have not yet agreed. They have those disputes, which they should first solve. Then,
as families,
as families, then we are able to compensate.
Okay.
Yes. You know, it happens for any projects. Now that land belongs to the people, then you have to compensate people before you acquire the land and use it.
Okay.
Yes. And this year in December, November, we have got two big events. The G77 conference is coming here. We have also the NAM. NAM. There's another one of NAM, which is also equally as North Atlantic Movement, which is equally as big as G77, where we shall expect around 133 aircraft, because these people are coming here with their aircraft. So we are either able to park some at Entebbe International Airport, and some we can say go and park in Kabari International Airport.
Or Jinja Airstrip.
Or Soroti, provided they are tarmacked. Yes. So we are prepared, and we are trying to help the industry grow so that we are able to get the benefits.
I have some few questions here as we wind up. There are claims by Ugandan-born citizens, excuse me, with double citizenship, who were told and ordered to pay for Ugandan visas. How true is it? And if true, why is it like that?
Issues to do with immigration still, I want to excuse myself out of that.
It's not within your docket.
Yeah, but I want to say that we have requested all people that want to visit or are coming to our country to apply online for their visas. We had issues when people would come here and get visas on arrival, because the majority or some of them will be denied entry and they become inadmissibles. Now, if you don't meet the requirements of entering the country, you become an inadmissible, meaning that the next flight
will take you back.
And those cases were becoming many. So we decided to tell people that you have to apply online before you come to Uganda. Of course, they have complained that the system is very slow, feedback is very slow when they apply online, but at least we have encouraged and we have given this feedback to the Director of Citizenship and Immigration, what people who are using the online system,
the complaints
that they are giving us, so that it is improved on.
Okay.
Yes.
Then another question is, we hear Ugandans detained abroad over drug trafficking, and most of them go through Entebbe. How do they pass the airport? Yet we even have stiffer dogs there.
I have not heard of that case. Maybe when they never passed Entebbe, we have not heard of that case. There was only one case that was reported last year, and investigations were carried out to find out who were at the screening desk, and investigations are still being carried out to understand what exactly happened.
And then lastly, some bags are claimed to be stolen at the airport by the staff. What measures have been taken to reduce on the vice?
There are no bags that have been stolen. I think this person is trying to talk about what we call pilferage. That is, I open your bag and I steal maybe valuable items from your bag. But even the cases of pilferage at Entebbe International Airport, because like in our baggage area, everywhere there are cameras, pilferage, those cases, a long time ago, when either 5 years, because I've spent 4 years with the authority, and those cases of pilferage, I've not heard of them. However, it's not that bags are stolen. Sometimes these people come to Entebbe International Airport and the bags don't come with them, especially people who have had transiting. They have tickets, and that ticket shows that they are ending in Khartoum, so the bag will end in Khartoum. Then the person decides to proceed to Entebbe. So, of course, when you ask for the tag,
they are supposed to different destination.
Yes, they are supposed to go to our baggage claim office by the ground handlers. They fill in a form, and then we trace back where this bag could have ended. And most of them, we have seen that the bag ended
in Khartoum
because that they had a ticket from where they are coming to Khartoum before they came to Uganda. So those have been the cases.
And in such cases, who meets the costs?
And when your baggage is left behind, you have not come with it on the aircraft, the airline is supposed to deliver that baggage to you. They will ask you, do you want us to deliver it, or you want to come and pick it yourself on the form? So if you want to pick it, you will come with a tag, and then they will call you, your baggage has come, so please come and pick it. Or if you want it to be dropped, they will ask you, where can we drop your baggage?
Are there some extra charges incurred for that?
No.
Because I indicated I'm traveling to Congo, and I decided to end in Kampala.
Of course, now it will be how easy it is to get you the bag. Because now you're going to Congo, then you're in Kampala, you know. So, but if you're in Kampala and maybe other areas, they can deliver. But in most cases, most people want to come and pick their luggage themselves.
Then couldn't you be so much interested in knowing why someone chose to cut their journey short from maybe from Dubai to you indicated you're going from Dubai, you're going to...
Some countries don't want direct entries
to Uganda
in their countries. For example, you want to come from country A and maybe the other country says we are not interested in allowing passengers from country A because of these issues. So they would avoid a direct flight from there to that country. So they want to come and appear as if they have generated their travel from Uganda to enter those countries.
Okay. Yes. Well, I think you might not go beyond this. This brings us to the end of tonight's edition of the Hotline. But before we close the show, I want to give you 1 minute to give me your closing, your parting shot.
I want to thank the public out there, first of all, for giving us the feedback that over the week we have had on social media. The feedback has been very good, that it will help us to improve service delivery at Entebbe International Airport. However, I want also to request those that are using this time to generate their own selfish motives, that you're not only ruining the image of Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, but you're ruining the image of a country. That will even affect our incomes as a country, the GDP. It will be affected.
True.
Because if tourists hear of such extortion, you know, you create a negative image on the airport, on the country, and it is what I would call irresponsive use of social media. So I request that we use the social media to help us improve.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Otim. I really thank you for your time. Out of your busy schedules, you've been able to make it and share that with us and, of course, our public. We want to keep the conversation flowing. You can still, if you can still use and, you know, drop your comments there. And yes, we'll have Mr. Otim again some other time to come and give us a way forward on what's being done, what they've been able to implement. I know right now there are quite a number of changes taking place, and this is coming out of the public outcry, the comments, the how do you call them? Those views coming from the public. So it's that has been used and combined by the team at the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority to come up with new changes to serve us better and, of course, the entire world. Well, my name is Abdallah Latif. I want to thank the team I have worked with, and this brings us to the end of tonight's edition of the Hotline Show. Have a good night.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.